In keeping with the theme of nullification, I'll be brief. I was proud, as I'm sure everyone in the room was, with the proposition that told the world 71% of the people of Missouri were against Obamacare. The state did nothing. Claire McCaskill thumbs her nose at that 71% vote. The state does nothing. Reportedly, our governor, our Senator Blunt voted to fund Obamacare as part of a defense bill. The state does nothing. What do you, as panel members, wish you had done specifically from wherever you were in your walk of life at the time to nullify Obamacare? 3 steps, please.
Well, I think we've been addressing that, throughout the evening. I know myself and my colleagues have been working so that whenever anything that is connected to Obamacare starts to rear its ugly head in enabling legislation moving through the General Assembly, we put a stop to it. When a quasi-governmental agency with an appointed board is told by the governor of this state that they need to accept the level 1 grant to establish the infrastructure of an exchange, myself and 2 of my colleagues ran from the Capitol building, jumped in our cars, and went across Jeff City, and we barged into a meeting that they were having at this quasi-governmental agency and said, what the heck is going on? With their agenda in hand, because they were going to accept the level 1 grant. I mean, we can only do those things that are within our power to do. I'm sorry, I can't be in Washington, D.C. holding, Senator Blunt's hand, and telling him how to vote. That's your job.
That's right. Email it.
All right?
Email it.
Get on the phone,
That's right.
write the letters,
That's right.
and tell them.
Call the office.
So, it's up to us to hang on to this republic, right? And if the men and women that you elect at every level aren't doing it, then vote the bums out.
That's right.
All right? But let me tell you this, there is no perfect politician, there is no perfect statesman out there, okay? We're all fallen, we all make mistakes, but your job and my job is to communicate as best as we can, and so we need to hear from you continually. It's not enough just to, call us that one time on that one important issue, that Rush or Hannity or one of the guys said, burn their phones up. You got to stay on top of us, okay? I take very seriously what the Missouri Constitution says about my job description on your behalf. It says, I've been elected to protect your life, your liberty, your pursuit of happiness, and the gain of your own industry. And that when I fail to do that, when government fails to do that, it fails in its chief design. That's what I wake up and think about every day, all right, when I'm representing you in Jefferson City. If your other representatives and senators at all levels aren't doing that, you need to have a serious talk with them, right? We all do, collectively. Okay, and that's what this is all about. So we need to do, we need to cut the head off of this thing when it rears its ugly head at every opportunity that we get. But to give you, 3 things that I can do as far as what's going on in, with the federal government or this administration, we're doing our best. Jay Nixon is not only ignoring the Constitution and state statute, okay, he is at every point trying to circumvent the legislative process because we have frustrated him over these 3 years. Okay?
Yeah, thank
so,
you.
I mean,
Thank you.
even to the point that he is taking monies that your General Assembly appropriated for certain issues, withholding them, and then spending on something that we didn't appropriate the money on. You can't do that. We ought to be impeaching the guy. We really should. You know, but we've got, you know, complicit Attorney General who we ask for opinions. Can he do this? And the guy won't answer. He won't come out from underneath his desk, as somebody else said. So. That was pretty short.
Three things that, from the legislature, it's really important to understand this thing, jurisdiction. I've got people in my district that call me up and they're upset that MoDOT used concrete instead of blacktop. And they expect me, there's certain things that I don't have jurisdiction over. I can't go into the governor's office and tell him exactly how he needs to do this, this, and this within his office, because he has his own policies that he has jurisdiction over, and the courts have jurisdiction over different things too. So I would highly recommend reading through the Constitution, the Missouri Constitution. Senator Lembke has one over here. When you look at it, it's a bunch of legal words and clauses and sections, and it's kind of boring. But you'll have a much better perspective, as I did, once you actually read through the Missouri Constitution and find out exactly what the jurisdiction of the different branches of government are. That way you don't place any unreasonable expectations on either the governor, the legislature, or the judicial branch. I would highly recommend that you do that. It did a lot of help for me because before I got elected, it was easy to get on Facebook and slam somebody. But then you find out later on, oh, sorry, it's not quite their jurisdiction, and then it's kind of awkward next time you're at a town hall meeting and you want to shake their hand and apologize. But there's things that you can do. So from the legislature's perspective, sometimes the only thing that a legislator can do is stand up and read the Constitution in spite of whoever tells them it's unconstitutional or it's not right to read the Constitution on the House floor. So you need more people that'll do that. That's one of the things that the legislature should do, is take advantage of the opportunity that we have to debate, to school the other 163 members of the House that they're not there to wear a stupid pin that costs $90 just to go home and tell people that they're a state rep. They're there to protect people's individual God-given liberty. It's the easiest job description in the history of the world. So that's one of the things that we can do. Other things that we can do is just introduce bills just so we can introduce the debate. But we can only go so far, because once it leaves the jurisdiction of the House or the Senate and it moves on, at that point, it's out of our hands, like that box that we were talking about before that I think we might disagree on. There's certain jurisdictions, there's things that I can't do. I can't, if I see somebody speeding, although I might have a say in the highways or speed limit, I'm not the one that can write the ticket. I'm the legislator. I just introduce the policy. I don't actually enforce it. I can't arrest somebody and take them to jail. But the most thing that we can do oftentimes is just talk as much as we can. And being a state representative gives you a certain platform. When you do talk, a lot of times people will listen a little bit. And so that's one of the things that we can do. But don't expect the legislature just to say, you know what, the governor said to do this, and if we don't do it, he's going to do it. So because what I'm trying to say is that there's just jurisdiction. Sometimes the governor operates outside of his constitutional parameters, and he'll do stuff anyway. But the debates is probably one of the most important things. Read the Constitution, please, the Missouri Constitution.
Thank you. I think that's a very good discussion on jurisdiction. I think literally we could almost have another night where, instead of exclusively talking about nullification, where we could talk about jurisdiction, because I think that really is an area where many of us, I think even activists, even people that are very, very much engaged, I think it's very common for people to have a little bit of a misunderstanding about jurisdiction. What is it that a lawmaker, a legislator, I'm trying to think what Bev recently said she wanted us to call instead of legislators, but public servants, yeah, you know, I mean, but there's absolutely jurisdiction. We don't like it as conservatives. We don't like it when the judiciary steps out of their box and does things that they're not supposed to do. And so we have to be careful as conservatives that we don't begin to do that same thing, because what that makes us is hypocrites. And I think it's very, very common for those of us that serve in the state legislature to get requests from people asking us to do things, and it's not that we don't want to do those things, it's that those things fall outside of our jurisdiction and we don't have any power over that.